Have you ever rushed out of your house in the morning because you were running late for work? Maybe you skipped breakfast, or maybe you wanted to buy something on the way but didn't know how to order it in English. Many English learners face simple situations like this every day. In today's story, you'll follow a young woman who decides to stop at a small cafe before work to buy breakfast for the first time in English. Along the way, she discovers that ordering food is easier than she imagined, meets friendly people, and learns useful expressions naturally through real life. Relax, enjoy the story, and let the English become part of your day, one sentence at a time. Today's question: what is your favorite breakfast to buy before work or school? Sophia usually woke up early every weekday, but this morning was different. Her alarm clock did ring on time, yet she pressed the snooze button one more time. When she finally opened her eyes again, she looked at the clock and immediately sat up. "Oh no," she whispered with a surprised smile. "I'm running late." She quickly got dressed, brushed her hair, packed her bag, and hurried toward the front door. Normally, she prepared breakfast at home, but today there wasn't enough time. As she walked down the street, she felt a little hungry. She thought about waiting until lunchtime, but then she noticed a small cafe on the corner. The warm lights inside looked welcoming, and the smell of fresh bread filled the morning air. Sophia slowed down and looked through the large window. Several people were enjoying breakfast before work. One woman was drinking coffee while reading the news on her phone. A young man was eating a sandwich and quietly typing on his laptop. Everyone looked relaxed, even though it was still early. Sophia smiled. Maybe I should stop for breakfast today, she thought. She had studied English for almost 2 years, but she had never ordered breakfast in English before. The idea made her a little nervous, but it also made her curious. She took a deep breath and walked inside. The cafe felt warm and peaceful. Soft music was playing in the background, and the smell of coffee mixed with the fresh aroma of baked bread. Sophia looked up at the breakfast menu. There were many choices: croissant, bagel, toast, egg sandwich, breakfast wrap, blueberry muffin, fruit cup, yogurt. She recognized some of the words, but others were new. One item caught her attention: a croissant. She remembered learning that word during an English listening lesson. A croissant is a light, buttery bread from France. It has a soft inside and a crispy outside. Sophia smiled. I've always wanted to try one, she thought. Then she noticed another item: breakfast wrap. She wasn't completely sure what wrap meant. Instead of feeling worried, she remembered something important. Real conversations are the best place to learn. She decided to ask politely if she needed help. While waiting in line, she quietly practiced a simple sentence. I'd like a croissant and a small coffee, please. She repeated it several times. Each repetition made her feel calmer. Soon it was her turn. She smiled warmly and placed her order. I'd like a croissant and a small coffee, please. The employee smiled kindly and nodded. The conversation felt much easier than Sophia had imagined. She realized that speaking slowly helped her stay relaxed. Instead of trying to remember difficult grammar, she focused on communicating clearly. A moment later, she heard another simple question. Would you like anything else? Sophia looked back at the display case. There was a blueberry muffin that looked delicious. For a second, she almost ordered it too. Then she laughed quietly. No, thank you. That's enough for today. The employee smiled again. Sophia already felt proud of herself. She hadn't only ordered breakfast, she had completed her first real breakfast conversation in English. As she waited for her order, she found a small table near the window. Outside, the city was slowly waking up. People hurried toward bus stops. Cyclists rode past the cafe. The morning sun covered the streets with warm golden light. Sophia looked around and realized something interesting. No one was paying attention to her English. Everyone was simply enjoying their own breakfast. That thought made her relax even more. Sometimes the biggest challenge wasn't speaking English. Sometimes it was simply believing in herself. A few minutes later, Sophia's breakfast was ready. She thanked the employee with a warm smile, picked up her tray carefully, and walked back to the table by the window. The fresh coffee smelled wonderful, and the warm croissant looked even better than it had in the display case. She took a small bite. The outside was light and crispy, while the inside was soft and buttery. It was delicious. Sophia smiled. I should have tried this much sooner, she thought. As she enjoyed her breakfast, she watched people arrive one after another. Some customers came in alone before work. Others arrived with friends or coworkers. Almost everyone greeted the employee with a smile. The conversations were short, friendly, and relaxed. That surprised Sophia. She had always imagined that native English speakers talked very quickly all the time. Instead, most people used simple sentences. Good morning. Can I have a coffee, please? Thank you. Have a nice day. Everything sounded natural. Everything sounded easy to understand. Sophia realized she already knew many of these expressions. She simply hadn't used them often enough. She took another sip of coffee and opened the small notebook she always carried in her bag. Instead of writing grammar rules, she wrote today's date. Under it, she wrote 3 short sentences. I'd like a croissant, please. Would you like anything else? No, thank you. She smiled. These were real English expressions she had actually used. That made them much easier to remember. As she finished writing, she noticed a colorful sign on the wall. It said, breakfast combo. She wasn't completely sure what the word combo meant. Then she remembered hearing it in another English video. A combo is a meal that includes several things together. For example, coffee and a sandwich, or juice and toast. Learning new words through real situations felt much easier than memorizing long vocabulary lists. Sophia looked at the menu again. Now she noticed many words she had missed earlier. Whole wheat, cheese, turkey, jam, honey. Some words were new. Others were already familiar. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, she felt curious. Little by little, the menu was becoming easier to read. She looked at the clock. She still had 15 minutes before work. There was no reason to rush. For the first time in weeks, she simply enjoyed a quiet morning. She watched sunlight slowly move across the floor. The music played softly in the background. The smell of fresh coffee filled the room again as another pot was prepared. Everything felt calm. Sophia realized she rarely gave herself time to slow down. Every morning, she hurried from home to work without enjoying the beginning of the day. Maybe breakfast wasn't only about eating. Maybe it was also about starting the day peacefully. She smiled at the thought. As she finished her coffee, another idea came to her. Next time, she wanted to try something different. Maybe a bagel. Maybe an egg sandwich. Maybe a breakfast wrap. Instead of ordering the same thing every visit, she could practice new English each time. She took out her notebook again and made a simple list. Next visit: bagel, egg sandwich, orange juice, breakfast wrap. Then she laughed softly. She crossed out the bullet points and rewrote the list as short sentences because she wanted to practice natural English. I'd like a bagel. I'd like an egg sandwich. Could I have an orange juice, please? I'd like a breakfast wrap. Reading complete sentences felt much more useful. Sophia looked outside once more. The sidewalks were becoming busier. More people were walking quickly toward their offices. She knew it was almost time to leave. Before standing up, she thought about her first visit. Only 20 minutes earlier, she had been nervous about ordering breakfast. Now she felt completely relaxed. The biggest change wasn't her English. The biggest change was her confidence. She finally understood that confidence grows through practice, not through waiting. She folded the cafe receipt carefully and placed it inside her notebook. It would remind her of this successful morning. As she stood up to leave, she smiled at the employee one more time. Thank you. Everything was wonderful. The employee smiled warmly. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Those simple words made Sophia feel even happier. She opened the cafe door and stepped outside. The fresh morning air felt cool against her face. She looked back at the small cafe for a moment. It no longer felt like an unfamiliar place. It already felt comfortable. She knew she would return again, not only because the breakfast was delicious, but because every visit gave her another opportunity to practice English naturally. While walking toward her office, she quietly repeated the expressions she had used that morning. "I'd like," "No thank you." Everything was wonderful. She noticed something surprising. She wasn't repeating them because she had to. She was repeating them because they now felt like part of her own English. That made her smile all the way to work. Sophia arrived at her office a few minutes early. That surprised her because she had expected to be late after stopping for breakfast. Instead of feeling rushed, she felt calm and ready to begin the day. As she sat at her desk, she thought about the cafe again. It wasn't only the coffee or the croissant that made her happy. It was the conversation. She had spoken English in a real situation, and everything had gone much better than she expected. During her lunch break, she opened her notebook again. She read the expressions she had written that morning. They looked simple, but now they carried real memories. She could still remember the smell of the coffee, the warm lights, and the friendly smiles she had received. That afternoon, she decided to make English part of her daily routine. Every week, she would visit a different cafe before work. Each visit would give her a new opportunity to practice speaking. She didn't want English to stay inside a classroom or a textbook anymore. She wanted it to become part of her everyday life. The next morning, Sophia woke up early without needing to press the snooze button. She smiled as she remembered yesterday's success. Instead of feeling nervous, she actually looked forward to breakfast. She returned to the same cafe because she wanted to try something new. This time, she didn't practice her sentences before walking inside. She simply trusted herself. She looked at the menu with much more confidence than before. A breakfast wrap caught her attention again. Yesterday, she hadn't known exactly what it was. Now she remembered. A wrap is food rolled inside a soft, thin piece of bread. It often contains eggs, vegetables, cheese, or meat. It sounds delicious, she thought. Without overthinking, she placed her order. "I'd like a breakfast wrap and a small orange juice, please." The words came naturally. She smiled because she didn't have to stop and think about every sentence anymore. While waiting, she looked around the cafe once again. She noticed something she hadn't seen before. Many people smiled before they even started talking. That small smile made every conversation feel warmer. Sophia realized that communication wasn't only about words. Kindness also mattered. When her breakfast was ready, she thanked the employee and sat down near the same window. The wrap smelled wonderful. She took a careful bite. It was warm, fresh, and full of flavor. She laughed quietly. "I'm glad I tried something different." Trying new food reminded her of learning English. At first, something new could feel uncomfortable, but after giving it a chance, it often became something she truly enjoyed. While eating, she thought about her progress. Only a few days ago, ordering breakfast seemed difficult. Now she could imagine ordering lunch, asking for directions, checking into a hotel, or buying a train ticket in English. Little by little, her confidence was growing. She no longer expected herself to speak perfectly. Instead, she focused on enjoying every conversation. That simple change made learning much more relaxing. Before leaving, Sophia looked at the menu one last time. She smiled because almost every item looked familiar now. The words no longer felt difficult. They felt useful. As she walked toward the door, she quietly said to herself, "Tomorrow I'll learn something new again." She stepped outside with a smile. The morning sun was shining brightly. People continued walking toward work, carrying coffee cups and breakfast bags. Sophia joined them with confidence. She knew there would be many more chances to practice English. And she was finally looking forward to every one of them. Review. Expression. "I'd like a croissant, please." Simple English meaning. A polite way to order food. One easy example. "I'd like a bagel, please." Expression. "Would you like anything else?" Simple English meaning. A question asking if you want more food or drinks. One easy example. "No thank you, that's all." Expression. Everything was wonderful. Simple English meaning. A polite way to say you really enjoyed something. One easy example. The breakfast was wonderful. Expression. Could I have a small coffee, please? Simple English meaning. A friendly way to ask for something. One easy example. Could I have a glass of water, please? Expression. Have a great day. Simple English meaning. A friendly way to say goodbye. One easy example. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you for spending this morning with us. We hope Sophia's story showed you that speaking English doesn't begin with perfect grammar. It begins with one simple sentence, one friendly smile, and the courage to try. Every breakfast, every coffee, and every small conversation is another opportunity to improve your English naturally. Today's question: what is your favorite breakfast to buy before work or school? Write your answer in English in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next CupTalk English Story. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your breakfast.